A month and a half in, you take her to a
Right.
jewelry
So,
store.
and then she said, I wouldn't marry you if you asked me. And I was like, that's fine, totally. No problem.
I want to talk about marriage. You're married to the beautiful professional volleyball player Morgan Beck. Explain how this pursuit started.
So when Morgan and I first met, I was in Florida, and
And backing up, you'd like seen her photo or something.
Yeah, I saw a picture. Lowell has all of his athletes, and
you share the same agent.
And he was my agent had her picture on the wall. It was one of her little cards, and she looked pretty hot, but she looks really stern and pretty mean. She looks like a little bit like a Russian dominatrix in a way. She's so just right there. Looked like a model, but not like some models look like they'd be like fun, like wee. She looked like a model who would just like beat your ass or something. And so I was kind of like, wasn't that interested. I said she looked hot, and Lowell said, yeah, we signed her. She's a good athlete. And I said, great. She's 6'2". Obviously, any girl who's 6'2" and is like athletic has a massive advantage and whatever. But I was down there in Florida, and Lowell, I just happened to be talking to my agent. And he said, you should check out where Morgan's been the last like month and a half. So I went on to Facebook and saw her like fan page posts, and we'd been within about a mile and a half, 2 miles of each other across the country. So we had just kind of been like, it was like in When Harry Met Sally, and the old couples are going back over there, like how he met, like, I lived right down the block from him for 63 years, never met. And this was one of those things where we were in the same completely random spots. Then the fourth place was down in Fort Lauderdale. I wasn't really in any position to be looking for anything special anyway, but I decided to go to the volleyball match, and I called her and asked her, and she said, no, I don't want you to come, which I thought was a little bit indicative of the way she is in her photo, where she's like, screw you, I will kick your ass, and I'm mean and too tough. And so I was like, well, I'm sorry, but you don't get to decide, so I'm going to come to the volleyball match. It's a free country, and unless you want to try to like have security kick me out. So I went and I watched her play, and I really, while I had my opinion sort of that she was that way, while she was playing, in the moment when she was really committed to winning and doing everything she could, it became not so much posturing, which a lot of people are full of posturing, and their impression that they want to project to the world is sort of their decision. And she kind of let those barriers down when she was playing. It became more raw, more of who she actually was. When you see somebody play a sport the way that only they could, it's a unique opportunity to sort of see into their soul a little bit. You can witness who they really are, and that was enough, and I knew that she was going to be the person that I would marry, and I sort of
just based on that.
Yeah, it was basically the first day. I got to know her much more through that experience of watching her play a sport that she loved and hated at the same time, because she both loves and hates volleyball, and she'll tell you that, and I could see it within 20 minutes of first meeting her. It was just very revealing to me, and it was partly because of her personality and my personality and my experience with sports and all this stuff, but also partly because we are very compatible that way. Like, that was a really amazing and unique experience for me, and I was, it just like settled everything. Everything just kind of went down like 7 notches from, I'm already pretty mellow, as you know, I'm pretty mellow, and to go down 7 notches from where I already was, everything just slowed right down, and it felt like all of a sudden I was her balance for her anxiety and her neurotic behavior and all of her spasticness.
So I know you're very strategic. We already talked about you being analytical. You claim at least to have had a strategy in the proposal.
Yeah, I did. I had a 2-pronged approach, which was ultimately obviously very successful. But so I knew I was going to.
And you really aren't full of it. You really
absolutely. I thought it through. I said, what's the best way to make this happen? And some people would say, I want to ask her on top of a mountain. Some people would say, I want to do some grand action and have it written in lights, or have a plane fly by and do the spelling it out or whatever. In my mind, I wanted her to almost make the decision so that she really was, and I knew her well enough right away to know that the most likely case to do that would be to almost frustrate her into saying, like, you got to do it, you got to just ask, you can't just keep around. And I was ultimately super patient. I had no rush. It wasn't a matter of when it happened. I didn't care. I mean, we just had met anyway. I was fine to wait 2 years or 5 years or whatever. But
a month and a half in, you take her to
Right.
jewelry
So,
store.
well, so I bought this ring. She was there when I got it, and then she said, I wouldn't marry you if you asked me, and I was like, that's fine, totally, no problem. And she was like, that already, you plant the seed in there, and then you let her. So then she'd see
a month and a half into the relationship.
And then ultimately you've already kind of won at that point because it's in there. It's like it just grows and the roots just wind all through her brain. And after a while, she was telling her friends about it, and then she'd show them the ring. And as soon as you show your friends a ring, it's like it's over, at that point. And she still didn't recognize that it was already over, and I was just like letting her carry. So I was carrying the ring around, and then, in the hotel room, she'd be like, you should put that ring somewhere. I'm like, don't worry about it, it's in my backpack, it's fine. And she'd be like, I don't want somebody to take it and blah, blah. And I was like, don't worry about it, it's no problem, So she kind of was like, you can't carry that thing around. I said, I absolutely can. I can carry it around for as long as I want. You don't know that I don't have 3 in there. I might not even showed you the other 2. And that was kind of, and she basically, wanted to sort of force me to ask her. So it made it really easy on me.